That's a good boy. Yes.
That was smooth. That was a good outro there, bud.
Yeah, I forgot about that Creed song back in the day.
I think eventually our episodes are just going to be 42 minutes of Adam wank at some point.
Just
guys, keep listening. This is where the bass
I'm doing a DJ set for our episode today.
That's fine.
I have Serato hooked up in my my fake turntables here, so I can
wiki.
I can
Just
scratch trap music on fake vinyl.
Waiting on the trap version of When You Wish Upon a Star.
You won't.
You got that queued up, right?
No beats.
Let me make it. You guys talk about something. I'm gonna make it real quick. All right.
You guys talk about something. I'm gonna whip this out. That's what she said.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You can't. Are you assuming their gender? You're not allowed to do that. If you don't love someone, even if they have a penis, you're gay.
I love you.
Or something.
Even though you have a penis.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. All right, never mind.
I didn't say I didn't love him. I'm just saying I think you got ripped off on your international vacation.
She had a penis. I'm going on vacation. I'm not going international, though. That's too much fucking work, dude. I do not have a desire to travel the fucking planet. I just don't.
Well, no, I used to work with a guy that went to Thailand, and pretty sure he caught some syphilis there. So he had the brain rot going.
That would have explained a lot, yeah.
Do you guys remember that show, An Idiot Abroad?
Yes.
40 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it's like, I know how things go in my life, and if it can be fucked up, half the time it's fucked up. So my version of traveling the world was pretty much solved by An Idiot Abroad. So I saw how bad everything could be and how a series of bad decisions could lead me into the dark corners of the world that they were so enamored with to put what's his name, Carl or something.
Yeah, it was Carl. That was the one with it. It was a friend of Ricky Gervais. It was like Ricky Gervais, some other guy, and then the idiot. I can't remember his name, but Carl sounds about right. So
I never watched that.
Carl.
I never watched that. Was that Ricky Gervais?
Yeah. It was him and, like I said, a couple other guys. It was pretty funny. I like Ricky Gervais, though. I think he's funny. So
I never did see that.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I was watching a video the other day. It was this guy, and he's like bitching about travel like I do, and he had gone to Paris. Right. He's at the Eiffel Tower and he's like, oh, it's so fucking great, whatever. And then he takes his phone and he's like showing all the trash and talking about how shitty people are. And you get pickpocketed like fucking crazy. And it's nothing but tourist trap restaurant, little restaurants up and down and everything. And I just don't. Okay. You get to go see the Eiffel Tower. Cool, great. You know, you go to Paris. Like, I don't know what the draw is. And these are the same people that if you ask them, they've never been probably to half of the attractions in their own state. You know what I
No,
mean?
they've never left their hometown, but they want to flex. It's for everyone else. It's not for them.
I
So they can
really,
flex.
and I know people would argue with me, and no, I do this because, you know, my passion is travel. Okay, but why? Like, what is it about going to other countries? I get it. You want to
Those are
see other,
Ricky Gervais.
do what?
Ricky Gervais. That's
Is
all.
that what it is? It's all Ricky's
Yeah.
fault?
Yeah. Damn it,
blame,
Ricky.
blame Ricky Gervais. They're like, if an idiot can do it, I can do it. Do you think it's the Instagram lifestyle? Do you think it's because people see that they equate traveling with like success and being happy?
I think that's some of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it existed prior to social media. They were just doing it then, but they were just, you know, they may have enjoyed the trip and whatnot, but it was, I think half of it's kind of like that, you know, food tastes better when you're hungry.
Right.
I think while they're doing it, they're thinking about, oh, I'm going to have so many stories that I can tell at blah, 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 and yada, yada,
Right.
yada. You know?
Yeah. For everyone except themselves.
Well, and I think you remember it differently too, right? I mean, like when I tell people about the cruise that I went on to Mexico, I leave out the parts that, you know, my ex-wife got shit-faced drunk and was trying not to puke as we went in through boarding and, you know, stuff like that. You forget those little details. But the truth is like, I hate fucking around with airports. They're busy and fucking crazy. I guess what kills me, and I think we've talked about this before, is the concept of I'm passionate about travel. I want to travel. To me, there is a big fucking difference between travel and a vacation. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I guess technically I am traveling. I am traveling to Ouray, Colorado. You know, it's 6 hours from here. So I guess technically I do travel, but it's a planned thing that I do. The one thing that always kills me, and Robbie and I were talking about this when we traveled to the sand dunes last Sunday. Look at me. I guess I'm a big traveler. I traveled to the store earlier and bought fucking dish soap. But
you're more road trip than travel.
But I like road trips. I actually do like road trips. I think it's fun if you are with someone or with people that you enjoy being around. Could you imagine us piling into like a fucking van or something and going on a road trip? We would simultaneously fucking hate each other and have tears in our eyes from laughing all at the same time.
It would be like one big episode of the podcast.
Maybe we should put this together at some point, right? Take a laptop and a mic and some cameras and see what the fuck happens. I think we're
the gang travels to Walmart.
Right? We'll call it an idiot local. But Robbie and I were talking about, like, we were doing the dating app thing and both of us have kind of abandoned it because as Adam said, I don't know if it was on a podcast or if it was, we were just playing games or something. And he says, you know, maybe there's a reason these women are single. And I'm like, you ain't fucking kidding, dude. But it'll be like, I'm a mother of 3 who works part-time at a Starbucks and my passion is travel. Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
Traveling back and forth from daycare and work.
Like, is that your travel? Because I make a good living. Like, I'm not rich by any means, but I'm what I consider financially secure, right? And I can't afford to quote unquote travel like that. I pick and choose these vacations and I save for them or put them on a credit card and pay them off. Tomato, potato. So like, what does your, if that's your thing, what does your fucking credit card statement look like? I've been to 14 countries and I work as a fucking avocado detailer at Safeway Produce. Like, where does your money come from?
Though.
Well, what?
You know,
they got a nice display though.
Oh, they do have nice avocados. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you pull up your credit score, you might see something like a 795 to 825 somewhere in there, and theirs is just a poo emoji.
Poo emoji. It doesn't even hit the numbers yet. So, and actually, currently it's an 824. So you're actually really, really fucking close on that. So
they broke the FICO system.
Task has failed successfully.
We've asked TransUnion, and they just said no.
No. They wouldn't even give us a number. They're just like, nah, dog. Nah, dog, nah. That's what came back.
Whatever it is she wants, don't give it to her.
They wouldn't even answer my call.
I just don't get it. I'm not shitting on anybody for if you're if you're a successful woman and like to travel and do shit, that's great. That's fine. But some of these people, I think, are just, I think they throw out there like a wish, and I get it, man. Have standards. Like, having standards is fine, but be realistic. And I just don't think the majority of people. I saw someone said today, I think a fart could end an American marriage. They were European, and I was like, yeah, that's how it feels. And it's typically, we've discussed before, statistically, this is numbers. I'm not making this up. These are statistics that most divorces are initiated by the women. And I think it's just because a lot of them have been brainwashed, just like the Disney princess thing. They're just brainwashed into thinking shit that isn't realistic. I think men have some very unrealistic expectations on them. And as such, I'm not afraid to be alone. Like, I don't mind being alone. I like walking around in my underwear and knowing where everything in my, well, I was going to say knowing where everything in my apartment is, but we all know that's not fucking true. I lose shit constantly. But, if I leave something in the sink, ain't nobody going to bitch at me about it,
Yeah, I think that concept's been around before social media, though. The whole keeping up with the neighbors next door.
Joneses,
just bought a brand new car. We got to get a new car.
Yeah, I think social media has just made it, intrinsically worse.
It's easier to compete with your neighbors than to compete with some billionaire in LA.
Right, exactly. Or someone like we've talked about this. There are selfie museums where you can go and there's like a chunk of a fuselage of a plane, and you can get in it and like pretend that you're fucking in a plane and on the beach and shit like that. So
the first apartment I lived in here, they opened one of those in the basement, and
shut
I
up.
walked down there just to see what it was. Yeah, it had businesses on the first floor in the basement area. It had an actual selfie museum, and
oh my god!
If that's your thing, that's cool. But I just cringe. Like, you see how many selfies I post online, but anyways, I digress.
Yeah, I take pictures of myself if I'm with friends, if I'm doing something fun, but if I'm doing something, it's real. Like when I go into the mountains this week, I'll take pictures and I'll take selfies, but those selfies aren't for other people. See, I don't take pictures for other people. Those pictures are for me. Those pictures, I routinely, probably, I'll say once a month, will find myself, I'll be looking for a picture in my phone. I've got 25,000 photos on my phone right now. And I'll be looking for something and I'll start going back and I'll find a picture I've forgotten about, right? Or, sometimes your phones, Google, Android does this too, and Apple does it, where it'll be like, hey, your memories from a year ago or whatever, right? And you open it up and you're like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. That's why I take pictures, right? Growing up, we didn't take pictures of anything. Nobody gave a fuck about any of us enough to take pictures. So I take a lot of pictures. But those pictures are for me, man. I don't take a picture and want someone to think that I am someone that I'm not. If anything, I strive really fucking hard to do the opposite. That's fake, phony bullshit, dude. And I don't ever want to be associated with that. Like I said, I go to the mountains. Yeah, I know. And I try not to be a fucking hater. I really do. But there are days, man, where it's just, it's overwhelming when you see all these phony ass fucking people trying to be something they're not. And it's like, that's a lot of
filters,
Right. Oh God, the filters, bro. It's like, come on, man, stop.
It wouldn't be so nerve wracking if it didn't feel like everybody was like that.
I would agree with you, right? I feel like it's the majority of people. It says a lot about people. And I think part of it is being a Gen Xer. We didn't grow up with that. So to me, it's ridiculous. But there are plenty of Gen Xers that are doing it, you know. But I'd say it started after that, the millennials and the Gen Zers and Gen Alpha, I think now is the new one. Um, I just it's frustrating, man. Sometimes I chalk it up to, am I just becoming that old man? You know what I mean? Like, goddamn kids. Back in my
Get off
day,
my lawn.
back in my day, we had one phone and it was attached to the wall.
That was so a lot of the dating apps, people would put their Instagram handle on there, and that was always a good red flag test for me. If I looked at their Instagram and it was nothing but selfies and nothing of
Uh-huh.
interest outside of that, it's like, you live a pretty boring life, or you're very much into yourself.
Very right, very much into yourself. Exactly. Or if
Tell me
every
you're a narcissist without telling me you're a narcissist.
look at me, look at me. I've also, Robbie and I were discussing that, and this will be a controversial statement in today's climate, but I think that social media has turned a lot of women that are, subjectively a five into nines in their own heads. And the reason being is because it does not matter what a woman looks like. It doesn't matter what her income is, how many kids to how many men she has. Her value, her real value, which again, this is subjective and there's going to be people. But if you're a low value woman and you post a picture of yourself in a tight dress with some cleavage showing, and you put that out into the wild, you're going to get minimum 100 men. Oh, hey, sexy baby. Oh, look at you, huh? You'd be a queen to me, blah, blah, blah. Because men are disgusting, right? men will put their dick into anything. And I think that has given some women a very false sense of value. I really do. And these same women are the ones that are like, oh, I can't find a good man and all men are bullshit. And it's like, no, all the men you've been dating are bullshit.
I don't.
So
I
That's
don't know if that's exclusively a social media thing.
no, I think I think social media has exaggerated it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but it's, women have, been concerned about looks as long as there's been women. And one of my things that, I always found interesting, I think there's certain things that go with social media that play on people's natural tendency. And honestly,
Sure.
I think social media exploits women more than anyone else.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, and and it's kind of with the with what they're doing. I think it's more or less the cheat code to to some deep seated hooks in their psychology, because it's like, even when I was in, grade school, high school, what have you, you would have a woman that, and it's not terribly uncommon for anyone, much less a woman, not necessarily be happy with the way that you look. But with guys didn't, for the most part, then there's some exceptions. There's a popular guy, and like he's dating the girl that you want, and blah blah blah. So there may be some jealousy there, but it's like, I don't look at another man and say, "Oh my God, I wish I looked like him," and I feel ugly standing next to blah blah blah.
Fair enough.
So
No.
so now, you're a woman, you have social media, so as opposed to your comparing yourself against the people that you would meet in your daily life,
Right.
now you're comparing yourself to the planet.
Yeah.
That's
And that's what I mean by right. And that's why I said I think it exaggerates it or magnifies everything. Right.
right.
I agree with you completely. I think you're spot on. And then you do that to, like you said, everybody, or like Adam said, the billionaire who has nothing to do but work out, have a personal chef and Botox,
Yeah,
and
like
she's
Ricky Gervayez.
her vice.
Ricky Gervayez.
I I think you're absolutely right, and the irony is, like you said, men. I mean, if I see a good looking dude, I'd be like, "That's a good looking dude. I bet he pulls pussy." But we don't really, yeah, dude looks good, man. Nice fucking six pack that motherfucker has. Let's go get a cheeseburger.
If
Yeah, some more
Instagram was
hillbillies.
if Instagram was everyone just posting how much money they made instead of photos, then it would do the same thing to men as it does to women, I think.
Absolutely, success, right? Because that's what we're judged on. We're not judged on our looks. We're judged on our success.
Yeah, but
And
I'm not going to hate
money.
myself because Jeff Bezos might have
right.
$1 billion. I'm not sitting there looking at that going, what am I doing with my life?
That's true.
There's a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, and a shitload of time involved. But it's like, I know that money in and of itself will not make me happy. So it's not my primary focus. As long as I've got enough to get by, get along, and get a few extras here and there, I really don't give a fuck what anybody else makes.
Get by, get along, and get a few extras. Hell yeah. The
three
Doug
Gs.
story.
Took a
No,
while to
I'm
get
with you on that, man. And
comfortable.
do what?
I say it took a while to get comfortable with being myself, but yeah, don't really give a shit anymore. The older I get, and it's like just focusing on being happy for myself. That's
Absolutely.
not a lesson that a lot of people learn even later in life. Self-awareness thing.
And Robbie and I went to lunch today, and we were talking about self-awareness. And I'd said, over the last couple of weeks, I've been really hitting therapy pretty hard. Was working through some stuff, and when I went to leave, my therapist told me, she says, Dan, I just want to make you aware of how much work you do. She said, I don't know if you're aware. She said, but you have done a lot of work on yourself. Like, you are really working hard. And it's hard for me to take compliments. It always has been. It probably always will be. But I told her, I said, I agree with you. I said, you're right. I have. And one of the things my sister and I talked about this recently is that I am proud of myself for being self-aware. And Robbie and I were talking about this. I'm proud of the fact that I'm self-aware enough to know that I needed fucking help, and that there were things that were eating at my core that were making me a miserable fucking human being, not only to other people, but more importantly to myself. And I have put the work in, and a lot of people don't. And we were discussing someone today and about how they're just always fucking miserable. And I said, the thing is, though, is that if you don't do something to try to fix that, I start to lose empathy for you, right? And sympathy, because you're not doing anything about it. And most of the people that are in therapy are there because of people who should be in therapy but won't go. Therapy's gay, it's stupid, it doesn't work. I had a guy tell me it's a scam. They can't fucking change you. So, okay, so you talk about it. Now what? They can't change you. No, you're right. They can't change you, but you'd be fucking amazed at how a good therapist can guide your brain into untying knots that are fucking with you really bad, and that's fine. If you don't want to go to therapy, that's great. I ain't forcing it on nobody. I ain't asking it to be forced on anybody. But get the fuck out of my way. Like, if you're not going to go to therapy, get the fuck out of my way and don't try to drag me down into your bullshit. It's just because I'm not gonna let it happen. I mean, fuck, I'm 47 years old and I am just now feeling like I have any real value, or that my life matters. And there's a part of me that is bitter about that. I'm not going to lie. And I told my therapist that yesterday. I said, the thing that pisses me off the most? And she said, what's that? I said, is that I've been carrying this shit with me for 25, 30 years. And, the bad decisions that I've made, and the being miserable for all this time. And I didn't have to be, but I thought, I wouldn't go to therapy because, toxic masculinity and all that shit, being raised by a couple of boomers who were fucked up beyond belief.
No, nothing like that.
Nothing
No.
like that. It's because I'm a gay bitch is what it boils down to, right? So
I mean, it definitely factors in.
I don't know. Most gay guys I know are just like, I don't care. They really do care, but they say they don't. So they're very good at pretending. So yeah, I just I don't know, man. It's I feel bad for people, but at the same time, do something about it, right? Be self-aware. But
That's the thing about self-awareness. I think once you get a little bit of it, it kind of has a snowball effect.
yeah,
So you start realizing other patterns and stop to think about why you feel the way you do, or why am I suddenly angry or anxious?
Right? Anxious. God, that's the one, right? Anxiety, what is it? Anxiety is your imagination and depression is your memory. I read that once and it really stuck with me. And, to Doug's point, I was going to say this when Doug said, I don't compare myself to Bezos and all that. But you got to remember too, Doug, and we discussed this a few episodes back. We are different. The four of us are just different than the masses. And I think all four of us forget that.
It's like I am well aware of that.
I am painfully aware of it, but at the same time, I forget about it sometimes because I'll get frustrated. I'll get mad at the masses, and I'll get mad at the stupidity, and I'll get mad at the being. How can you be self-absorbed but not be self-aware? Like, that's the part that blows my mind. How can you be so far up your own ass but not actually see how fucked up you are? Like, that is a cosmic conundrum, in my opinion. And I forget a lot that I am different. And I don't mean to sound arrogant when I say that, but the fact is I am smarter than a lot of people. And I am way fucking more self-aware than most people. And I forget that a lot. And then I get mad.
Well, we've had this discussion before. Think about how, how the average person is, and then half of the population is dumber than that. So, I mean,
like
the 50th percentile.
Your odds of running into a stupid person are literally the flip of the coin.
That's fair. That's fair.
Robbie, why are you an introvert? No reason. No reason.
No reason. Mostly because people fucking annoy me. That's why.
What I'm getting out of this is that Dan's going to go build a shack in the middle of the woods and start making fun electronics to mail to people.
Oh, please stop. I can only get so erect. Say more.
The FBI is going to keep that shack in a giant warehouse one day on display.
It's a journal, not a manifesto.
No, we published it, so now it's a manifesto.
Yeah, touche. The
it's
thing
not a manifesto if I put it on LiveJournal.
I don't live journal, Jesus.
Well, Wattpad.
I don't care enough to blow other things up. I need to finish that, or you guys will have a fucking field day. Adam was already charging up.
Finish it off.
There you go. I don't care enough to blow up people's mailboxes and shit and like send bombs and stuff. I don't care. I don't care. I am truly one of those people who will just sit and watch the world burn because I don't think it can be saved. And to be honest with you, I don't fucking care enough. I'm kind of apathetic in that sense. The idea of living in the mountains, growing my own food and being that guy definitely appeals to me. But the energy that it would take to do all that. Besides that, I have ADHD, dude, and I'd be halfway building a fucking bomb and then like forget where I put the detonator or some shit or.
I don't think you can make it in the mountains because Amazon wouldn't deliver up there.
Fuck you, first of all. Second of all,
there are lockers.
There's
lockers.
Love you.
Right. Love you. Yeah, we were discussing, for those of you that could obviously tell there was an inside joke there, we were discussing that Dan has a bit of an Amazon problem. Had done much. He was in remission and recently went a little nutty, I think, because of this Ure trip. I bought some stuff that I justified. And I was telling the guys the other day that for the first time in a long time, I had some buyer's remorse. I was like, ugh, I didn't need this shit. So, yeah, I gotta curtail my Amazon habit again. But it's dopamine, sweet fucking dopamine. So
dopamine buffer underflow.
So I'm sorry for sniffling. I had sinus surgery a couple of weeks ago, and it is a very slow process to heal from sinus surgery. And I would like to say that my ENT grossly undersold the recovery time. So I said,
well, of course. I mean, it's their job to give you sinus surgery.
That's what the receptionist at the optometrist I go to. I went to pick some contacts up, and I'm talking all stuffy, and she said, "How was your 4th of July weekend?" I said, "Fucking sucked." She's like, "Oh my god, what happened?" I said, "I had sinus surgery like 2 days prior." I said, or 3 days prior. I said, "I was fucking miserable over the 4th of July weekend." And she was talking about how her son, they want her son to do it. He's had tubes in his ears and all that. And I said, "Man, I said, how old is he?" And she said 20. And I said, "Well, it would probably go a lot smoother for him." I said, "But just know that, they kind of undersell it." And she started talking about her hysterectomy. She said, "Yeah, they undersold my hysterectomy too." And she said, "They fucking do that because if they told you the truth, you wouldn't do it." Like, yeah, probably. If they were like, "Well, it could take 3 to 6 months for your sinuses to stop hurting, bleeding, and feeling like somebody punched you in the face." Like, oh, okay. But I've had ENT issues since I was a baby. I've had problems and infections and scarring and everything up there. So, and started having really bad headaches about 6 months ago, sinus headaches, and the normal tricks weren't fixing it anymore. So I had to do something, and this is hopefully temporary. But I think it was the right thing to do. I was awake for the entire thing. They gave me Halcyon. They gave me Halcyon, hydrocodone, gabapentin, and what's the one that keeps you from throwing up when you're sick?
Promethazine.
What is it?
Promethazine.
I think it is promethazine. I can't remember what the trade name is or whatever.
For me, it's always Finnegan, but I'm too sleepy to throw up.
Dude, that's exactly it, right? So between the Finnegan and the hydrocodone and the Halcyon and the gabapentin, I took all that before Doug came over and picked me up. And we get there, and I'm feeling pretty good by the time I get to the office. And we go back. At this point, I'm about as high as giraffe pussy. I'm fucking high. And the guy, the nurse was a fucking hoot. What was she, 60, she said? So
yeah, she was in her 60s, I think.
Woman looked good for 60. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you would have loved her. Yeah, you would have loved her. So I would have thought she was late 40s at best. And we're just cutting up, being silly. And at one point, we go into the room where they're going to do the procedure. And Doug came in and sat down. And someone asked him, I think one of the other nurses or something said, "And who are you?" And Doug, without skipping a beat, and we've done this before, but I just wasn't expecting it. Doug says, "I'm his heterosexual life partner." He's like, "We don't blow each other or anything, but we got each other's backs."
Yep. That is exactly the way I said it.
And I said, I told him we ought to get married for the tax benefits because at this point I'm high. Who the fuck cares? But the best part about that was I'm in the chair and I put my earbuds in. I can still hear them because I was too fucking high to turn my music up loud. He's got music on, some like classic rock. And he's starting to go up into my nose, and he looks at the nurse and says, "Did you hear what he said?" And he goes, "Oh, that's what it was. The doctor wasn't in there yet. She asked, he said that, or the nurse wasn't in there yet. The doctor was in there and was asking Doug who he was, and then that transpired. And so when the nurse came in, the one that had been fucking with us out, we had been fucking with each other, comes in and he says, just real calm, he's like, huh, did you hear what he said? He said, we don't blow each other, but we have each other's backs." And I'm too high to laugh, but in my head, I'm cracking the fuck up. And then about that point, everything gets a little bit blurry until they started breaking the cartilage in my nose. I'm laying there and I just hear this crunch, 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 like somebody breaking a pencil inside my head. So yeah, bring earbuds, but you're going to hear it from the inside out. But it didn't hurt, and it really didn't. I was a little sore like immediately after when I sat up, and they were talking to Doug like about aftercare and everything, and I was like, just get me the fuck out of here. I just want to go home. And but there wasn't a lot of pain. But you just simply cannot use your nose to breathe until they do the first debridement, and that's where they go in and they pull out the most hideous fucking things you've ever seen come out of your nose. What were we calling them? Snot slugs or something like that.
Brain slug.
We called them blood slugs.
Blood slugs. That's what it was. Yeah. Cause they're the size of an average slug, and they're just made up of, so they're, 2 inches long, and they're just made up of blood, dead meat, and, fucking snot. Yeah. Oh man. It's something. I've passed a couple of them just naturally, but I had to go in a week later, and they go up in there with forceps and this little suction thing, and he cleans them out, and dude, he was loving it. It reminded me of like Dr. Pimple Popper, because he was just fucking, he's like, hold still, I got to get this one. And I'm like, tears coming out of my eyes. And he's like, and pulls out this fucking golf ball, like from the scene from Total Recall, where Arnold Schwarzenegger pulls the fucking tracking device out of his nose.
Oh, no.
That's what this felt like. No, sir. Well, don't ever get sinus surgery, my friend, if you can help it. So that is
Google
exactly
a reminder for
that. Yeah, I just unlocked a trauma event for Robbie.
Recurring reminder every day for the end of time.
Do not get sinus surgery. So, but yeah, apparently I had a deviated septum, and then they shaved down the turbinates, which is just this tissue that warms and moistens air before it hits your lungs. So, as to why mine was so swollen like crazy, it's like, could be allergies, could be, we don't fucking know. Like, yeah, that sounds about right for surgery.
Seems to be a lot of medicine. We don't fucking know.
We don't fucking know. Yeah. So, but it's if you're not a surgeon, they definitely make more money treating you than they do curing you, right? I mean, how much money have you spent over the last year and a half, Adam?
It's all been very cheap, very quick,
easy, fruitful,
easy,
lots of answers.
I'm so glad we have a wonderful medical system in the United States.
Oh, fantastic. And all the free healthcare we could, all the free healthcare we could want. So, what are you going to do?
I went to the sleep doctor on Thursday, right? They're like, we're going to give you a take-home sleep study. I said, okay. So they're like, we're going to give you this device, and then you put it on and go to sleep, and you come back and turn it in, and then we'll read the data. I said, okay, so I'm just gonna get that like today when I leave. And she said, oh no, no, we have to run it through your insurance, and then when they say they'll cover it, then we won't know how much they'll cover until you go get it, and then they'll tell us how much they'll cover, and then you'll owe.
Uh-huh.
I said, that sounds great. And so you just do that right here? She's like, oh no, you got to drive across town and pick it up from the
Yep.
sleep device
Place.
depot. And I was like,
Probably Lincare.
I said, okay. And insurance isn't going to tell you how much they're going to pay until I tell you that I want to buy it. And she said, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I said,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And she just started laughing.
Hey, how much is this going to be? Surprise!
How much is it going to be? And they say, yes, we'll
Yes.
cover it. We'll cover a
And
portion of this.
right? I had wow, God, was it my surgery? I had that exact same experience. I think it was my hernia surgery that they ran it to see if they'd cover it, and they would, but then as far as how much, it was the same thing. It was like they couldn't tell me until after they were billed and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, well, I have holes in my fucking abdomen, so I'm gonna do it, you dicks. So it's like, come on, man, fucking just tell me what you're gonna cover for my sleep study. Just tell me, because you know how much the sleep study costs.
They got to lock you in before they'll tell you. It's like so stupid, dude.
What
I have no idea what even the ballpark is, because of course when you ask at the doctor's office, well, if I don't have insurance, how much would this cost? And they
Right.
say, fuck, man, I don't know.
Right. Because everybody has insurance. Nobody will, I mean, what's the first thing, dude? What is the first fucking thing that a doctor's office asks you for when you call? Like when I call and say, hey, are you accepting new patients? Who's your insurance? Like that's the first fucking thing. They don't say yes or no until they ask you who your insurance provider is. And it's like, fuck, here we go.
If anything else, like say cars
Right.
or anything of the
groceries. You mentioned groceries.
if that was run the same way as healthcare is run, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they would be all over them. DA's office would be all over them because
people firebomb grocery stores.
Dude, I mean, let's say for whatever fucking reason we decide to go to Burger King, and I ask them how much a Whopper is, and they can't tell me until I order it, and I order a $24.82 Whopper, and then you turn around and go, "Wow, well, let me order one and see what mine costs." Yours is $33.28.
My food insurance isn't as good as Doug's, so
yeah, I mean,
it's a fucking scam, dude. It's a fucking scam.
It's the worst discount program in the history of all of them. So I pay money each month, each paycheck, to reach a deductible where then you'll start to cover stuff.
Uh-huh.
But until then, I got to pay $300-something a month just to get medication so I can function. Yeah, go fuck
and
yourself.
If you opt out of that, it's illegal. So have fun.
Yeah, about that, right? The whole fucking, if you don't have health insurance, you have to take on this the government shit and all that. Man, that burned me up. I mean, I know we've had episodes that we've talked about universal health care and stuff like that, right? And we all have kind of different opinions of it. But the idea that, right, it's basically illegal if I don't have it, right? But then they fuck me. And I would love to go look at the stock portfolios of all the motherfuckers who have passed these laws and see how many of them own Blue Cross Blue Shield stock or Aetna or whoever the fuck they are.
Well, it's kind of like, the thing that I find funny that's become a recent trend within the last 6 months. And to be clear, there were people saying this before then, but they weren't as vocal. But what you've got is, generally speaking, it's going to be some form of billionaire or damn close. Somebody who is very, very, very well to do that you don't even have to wonder if they've got investments. But if they've got investments in commercial property, it's real easy to tell because they'll put out a press statement. People just need to go back to work. Things aren't getting done. They need to go into the office. This work from home shit is not working anymore. Oh,
Uh-huh.
could that be because it's probably hurting your investment portfolio because commercial real estate is taking a bath right now on
Right.
office complexes?
Right. I'm sure. I'm sure there's no correlation there at all.
One thing I will say is that one of the big arguments against universal health care is that, like, oh, if you want to go see a specialist, dude, you got to wait months in line to see a specialist and all this stuff. Yeah, I already do have to wait months in
I
line.
knew that. I was
Yeah.
like,
Well,
there's
it's very well documented. If you actually dig into it, back in the 90s when they were trying to do universal health care and Hillary Clinton was doing it, and they sort of had the worst press people of all time and didn't know how to promote their own crap. But at the same time, the healthcare industry, they hooked into their lobby group. And what they did is they went to Canada, they went to a bunch of other places. And what they did was those specialist wait times that you're talking about, where you're subject to specialist wait times in the U.S. as well, pretty much anywhere else that you can imagine, unless you're like Dubai and flush with cash. Hey, I want knee surgery. Okay, we'll do that shit over the weekend. I know that's a totally different thing, but what they did is they took those specialist wait times and they tried to apply that to everything. They made it sound like if you were if you had a heart attack and you needed follow-up care and blah blah blah, that hey, you may die before you get in, because that's the way they were portraying it. And if anyone in here um, doubts, that like I'm saying this for some political reason, no, go out and Google it, because there are a lot of these people now who, 30 years later, after being on that commission and seeing the state that healthcare is currently in, the cost of medicines, the cost of hospital stays, how things are artificially inflated, uh, to
$20
increase
Tylenol.
profit margin,
yeah.
whatever else. It's like, go out there and Google it. Those people are on the record now saying, yeah, I totally regret what we did, and this is exactly what we did.
Well, and you know what my thing about like what you're saying is that they're saying, well, wait time for specialists or wait time to get into the doctor is long. So your argument is that if a lot of people can afford to go to a doctor, more people go to doctors. I mean, that's basically what you're saying, right? Is that
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
wait because more people are going. So you're saying that it should be more expensive and unobtainable for people so that those of you that can't afford it have the benefit of going and fuck everyone else.
Right.
Like,
And when you
what?
look at healthcare across civilized nations, and more specifically, healthcare outcomes, because most of the other civilized nations that compete with us on an economic scale, if you're in the top 12, top 10, top 15, most of those other nations have nationalized healthcare. So it'll be like, we'll be top of the list in this, top of the list in that, but we're amongst that group, we're highest in infant mortality, lowest in healthcare outcomes. All of the earmarks that they were arguing against. No, if you've just got money and got insurance, you've got it
Right.
better than blah blah blah.
Uh-huh. Well, and speaking of specialists, um, we've discussed that there's a chance or a possibility I might have lupus, and about a year or so ago, when I was having all the arthritis problems, I was having real bad arthritis in my hands, which is another sign potentially of lupus. And at the time, I didn't know that. But I was calling around to rheumatologists. Well, first of all, I cannot go to a rheumatologist directly, right? I have to have a GP send me to a rheumatologist. It's like I couldn't even operate my motorcycle without pain, right? I couldn't operate the clutch and shit without it hurting. I have arthritis. So I don't know why, but I do. So I said, okay. And I called around. I was trying to figure out, how to do this. All of the rheumatologists around here in the local area are like, there's a 3-month wait period. So now tell me how, and I have good fucking insurance. I pay a lot of money. I have good benefits, but I'm still going to have to wait 3 fucking months. So yeah, tell me how universal healthcare is that much worse.
There's no
Because
way it's worse, too. And like you
I
said,
mean,
like they're like, the system wouldn't work if everyone that needs care could get it. So we have to make sure poor people die.
poor people die, right? I mean, that's just when you tell me that universal healthcare causes waits, other than maybe bureaucracy, which insurance companies, there's plenty of bureaucracy there, like you just explained with your sleep study, right? So I don't think that's it. So the only other thing that I can determine from the comment that it takes longer to see people or specialists or whatever is that it's because they're overwhelmed because everyone is able to go. Well, I'm fucking sorry. Make initiatives for people to become doctors then, right? Pay for their medical school, shit like that. But don't tell me that some people just have to fucking suck it. I mean, going back to therapy, I told my therapist, this has been about a year ago, I said, therapy is a fucking luxury. And that's sad. Like, I really believe that because insurance doesn't, my insurance doesn't cover therapy. I pay for therapy. I mean, they'll do like, what is it, 2 sessions a year or 3 sessions a year or something like that, which is, hey, that's great. But if you want to go somewhere like I was going weekly and doing EMDR and shit like that, I pay a lot of fucking money for that, and I am blessed in the fact that I can afford it, I can do it, right? But again, we go back to if you're poor, which is probably because of generational trauma and things like that, because again, typically poor and rich, just like rich tends to run in families, right? It gets handed down. Poor tends to get handed down too. And they can't afford the therapy that they need to maybe break that cycle, get their shit right, and go out and make something of themselves because of the bullshit they've been fed their whole lives. But they can't afford it. So, and you want to know why you have fucking school shooters and crime and things like that. Well, it's because people are fucked up in the head and they're under strange delusional, things, and they can't afford to get the fucking help they need. So I don't think that healthcare and mental health care should be a fucking luxury. I think that if a person is sick, there should be a way to figure out how to make them better. And the idea that these insurance companies and that the medical community is squeezing, they're squeezing us, the gas companies are squeezing us, groceries have gone up. I was looking at the tires that I bought for my Jeep 2 years ago, and they've gone up about $150 a piece. But we're not in a, there's no inflation and we're not heading towards a recession. But how long can you squeeze a fucking group of people and not expect somebody to lose their goddamn minds? The middle class has just been squeezed to fucking death lately. I'm curious to see what happens over the next couple of years, because the last few years have been weird as fuck for those of you that weren't paying attention.
Fucking Biden.
Yeah,
Fucking
right.
goddamn fucking Biden's calling the gas station telling them raise the fucking price up.
I'm so sick of politics, dude. It has become such a shit show, and anybody that takes any of it seriously anymore, I am concerned about your mental well being.
That
because
was
it is
like
just
when Paulus changed all the laws about, had to be cage-free hens for eggs in
uh
Colorado.
huh.
Friends back home were sharing that story like, oh, this is all this liberal in Colorado's fault. It's affecting the entire United States. I'm like, what?
Because of egg prices going up. Yeah, I heard that too.
Are you a hard R or what?
And by that he means a Republican. Just so people know.
Yeah, that
Wait,
too.
they were blaming the Colorado law on the
Yes.
national hike in
Yeah,
egg
yeah.
prices.
Yes.
Huh.
More that he's yes. I actually heard that too. That
That makes sense
Some
though, yeah, because
40
yeah,
chess.
yeah, most of the eggs in the United States come from
from
Colorado as well.
Colorado. Yeah, everybody knows that we're a big egg state here. It's
A
the
big egg exporter,
big egg. Yeah, big egg
Get
wants you
out.
to think.
Get out.
big egg exporter. Egg.
Yeah, I had actually heard that too, and that's why. Well, what I heard was somebody local saying, oh, the reason egg prices have gone up is because of all the cage freeze. And I said, I thought I read somewhere that the the estimated increase in eggs locally because of the cage free and all that was like 11 cents a dozen or something like that. And they're like, no, that's why it's gone up. I said, but I have friends in like Ohio and Florida, and they're posting the same memes about egg prices being through the fucking roof. So, and
Almost
they
like
just
there's a
stare
big
blankly.
avian flu thing going around.
Well, and I've had people tell me that was all fake. That there's no such thing as avian flu. That there's no such thing as avian flu, and that they just use that when they want to jack up the price of eggs. And I
Yeah, I
was
kind
like,
of followed that a little bit because I bought a membership to the Denver Zoo for my photography stuff. And like 90% of their birds they had to isolate because they were afraid of them getting avian flu. And that was well
Big
before the
dummies,
whole
it ain't even
egg.
real.
Yeah.
hey,
Fucking
yeah,
morons.
yeah. The zoos are just they're in on the conspiracy, man. Because those
That's
birds,
kind of got
Biggest
to
dude.
first of all, birds aren't real. Okay, birds aren't real, and therefore eggs aren't real. They're man-made, and they control the price, uh, so that you can't
Yeah,
get
you listen to
protein.
Joe Rogan too, huh?
So, hey man, you're fucking with Adam's boy. No,
Yeah, hey, leave Joe Rogan alone. He's just asking questions, okay?
he's the spokesperson for millennials everywhere, bud.
He's
Don't
just asking questions. That's all. Nothing wrong with asking questions,
nothing wrong with
okay?
asking questions. Nothing wrong.
Yeah, no.
I
He's
love it.
questioning that he's the only one brave enough to stand
There
up
you
against
go.
the status
There it
quo.
is.
Please
There
buy
it
his
is.
vitamins.
And his yeah. It's basically just Alex Jones light. Like he's
Oh yeah,
just saying crazy stuff and selling supplements.
yeah,
Yeah, just
exactly.
buy some. What's the other one? Jonestown. Just buy some of this nice vitamin infused flavor aid over here.
It's fun that you said that because most people say Kool Aid, and it actually was not Kool Aid; it was Flavor Aid.
Yeah, because
So.
he was a cheap fucking asshole. It's literally
That's all they.
you could put it on the credit card. You don't have to pay it off. You're dying. What does it matter?
That's all they had at Dollar General out there in the sticks.
It was Flavor Aid. Oh, they're turning the friggin' frogs gay.
Hey,
Ribbit.